Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Ratchet & Clank Future A Crack in Time Constructo Weapons Only Challenge. If this challenge is not self-explanatory enough, we will only be allowed to use the 3 Constructo weapons. We are technically allowed to use the wrench if it comes down to it, only because in this game, the wrench is weaker than the other Constructo weapons. Now, if for some reason you don't know what the Constructo weapons are, let's have our sponsor, GrumbleNet, explain exactly what they are.
Are you tired of having to purchase a different weapon for every occasion? Then try GrumbleNet's new Constructo line and take charge of your arsenal. Each weapon can be modified with any Constructo-approved upgrade. Rate of fire, ammo type, specialty triggers. If you can dream it, Constructo can deliver it. Now available in 3 flavors: the Constructo Bomb Glove, Constructo Pistol, and Constructo Shotgun.
Thank you very much, GrumbleNet, and without further ado, let's get started with the challenge. If you guys enjoy challenge videos like this, please consider subscribing because it helps me out a ton, and it really helps me know that you guys like this content and you want to see more of it. Plus, if we get 1,000 subscribers, I will play Ratchet & Clank Up Your Arsenal with a steering wheel. Yes, you heard that right. So subscribe if you want to see that. This game is the only game in the series that begins with a Clank mission, so obviously Clank sections are going to be entirely skipped in this video. So yeah, goodbye Clank. We start with Ratchet and Quark in the search for Clank, but suddenly we crash land. We end up on the Fongoid planet with nothing but our trusty Constructo pistol. Oh, and Quark.
Hey, that's pretty smart. You're gonna make a great sidekick.
After defeating the enemies and doing some basic platforming, we end up finding the first vendor, which already sells us our second weapon for the challenge, the Constructo Bomb Glove. This weapon, in my personal opinion, is one of the best bomb weapons in the entire series. It does a good amount of damage throughout the entire game, instead of the other ones where it's good for a few levels and then it starts to suck later around the end game. But this one actually holds up. After traversing more of this planet, we encounter a local whose kids need rescued in 3 different locations. Who could possibly help them if not Quark's noble sidekick?
Wow, thanks, mister!
On our way to saving the 3rd kid, we collect our first Constructo mod of this game. This gives us the ability to shoot more powerful shots from our pistol. I mean, why would I not equip this? After rescuing the children, we are led into their village, where we learn that we can fix our ship Vsalon using Zoni technology. We head through the Timu Path of Death and unlock the ability to capture Zoni. After we leave the temple, we encounter Lord Vsalon and hear one of the best Quark lines in the game.
Technology.
After defending the village and grabbing some Zoni, we head out to our new and improved Vsalon. Oh, she looking upgraded and snazzy. After heading to space, we are able to contact Quark, who is on Vsalon's ship. Vsalon sends troops at us that we have to defeat in order to get on board. Aboard the ship, we do a bit of platforming until we can move forward. The enemies at this point are not an issue at all, and probably won't be for a few levels. We make it to Quark's cell and free him and the Fongoids. We take the remaining enemies out because Quark decided to trigger the alarm. Dumbass. With everyone being aborted from the ship safely, it's now time for Lord Vsalon. Our weapons do a really good amount of damage to him. Our issue would have been ammo if there wasn't infinite ammo crates spawning. With Vsalon beat, we now unlock the coordinates to Tauren 4 and a whole new sector. Before we head to the next sector, this game features a lot of side planets that you can go to, and they're sort of like moons, like in Super Mario Galaxy. So we head to all of those and collect several things like Zoni, gold bolts, and even a brand new Constructo mod. Oh, it's the other one, Beam. That's literally from Star Wars. After heading to the next sector, we are greeted with another Clank mission, and so obviously we are going to skip it. Shout out to the homie Sigmund though. And then we get to catch up with our old friend Dr. Nefarious. Let's see what he's up to.
It's not even loaded, you moron! Look!
Well, it's good to know Nefarious hasn't changed throughout the years. With the new sector unlocked, we head straight for Tauren 4. I will be skipping most of the side moons that are done in between planets, unless they give us Constructo mods that are relevant to the video. Honestly, when it comes to enemies on Tauren 4, they're almost non-existent. We have a few of these little metal robot dudes, but honestly, that's it. So we just head straight for Alistar Azimuth.
Excuse me, hi. Do you know where I can find Alistar Azimuth?
Alistar doesn't seem too happy to see us. We have to chase him down onto a grind rail section, and once we finally catch up to him, we're able to talk to him.
Now I've got you. It can't be. You're Caden's son.
After realizing he's an idiot and I'm clearly not an imposter, he gives us my father's old hover boots, which increase the movement options in this game drastically. Oh yeah. I mean, look at me. With the hover boots acquired, Azimuth asks us to meet him on planet Terrachnos so we can find a way to talk with Clank. Before heading to Terrachnos, we hit a couple more moons to collect a few more Zoni. Now that we are on Axiom City, we can buy our first set of armor, and we have plenty of bolts for that since we can't buy any weapons. After moving on forward, we decide to go straight instead of taking the intended path, as this leads to an optional Constructo part. This Constructo part being the proximity mine for the Constructo Bomb Glove. This is one of the best mods for this weapon because literally it's the same as Contact, except if you miss it, there's no penalty, you instead get a landmine. There's no reason to not use this one. Afterwards, we illegally hover boots all the way to the Axiom City spaceport, where we decide to help these two Terrachnoids out, and of course, trigger an alarm. Alert! Gosh darn it, Ratchet. The good news is our weapons very much still hold up on this level without any issues. We head to the Nerox Plaza to rendezvous with Azimuth. Alistar then talks to Jarvis and finds a way inside Pollock Industries. The game scales a little bit in difficulty here as there are a lot of enemies in continuous waves, but again, nothing too hard for us to handle. Pop quiz for all of you guys. Do you have any idea what is being said right here? Put down in the comments if you know what he is saying. I will now reveal what he is saying. Removing the safeguard and nav syncing now. Did you get it right? I doubt it, because it took me 10 years. After reversing the polarity, or whatever it is that he did, we are able to slingshot our way over to Pollock Industries. Upon entry, we are greeted with yet another bioscan, which of course sends a load of troops at us. After this wave of enemies, we find the Skyburst mod, which essentially focuses more on aerial targets as opposed to ground units. We're probably not going to end up using this mod for this challenge specifically, but it is a decent mod, so I figured I'd mention it. Heading through the rest of Pollock Industries is a bit of a challenge as they keep sending these large four-legged tank dudes at us, but in the end of the day, we are victorious and we reach the end of the level. We discover there's an obsidian eye in the Creel Canyon. Using this, we can find a way to talk to Clank, that way we can find the Great Clock. We unfortunately encounter our old friend Dr. Nefarious. He tells us about his evil plans and that he also wants to use the clock to go back in time, but this time to rule the galaxy and kill Ratchet. Oh yeah, but before we can head to the Creel Canyon, Nefarious sends this gigantic light bulb thing at us to try to kill us, so we have to take it out to save Axiom City. This boss fight has a couple of phases. The first phase, he literally just sends some troops at us, and we actually acquire our level 5 Constructo pistol here, which is awesome. He then shoots lasers at us that we have to dodge until Azimuth shoots him, stuns him, so we can jump onto him. The next phase, we are also just dodging lasers while they are circling around his body, and basically once he stops, we have to unscrew 3 nodes that will basically tear off each segment of his leg. Each node that's destroyed gives you a smaller playing field to dodge the lasers with. I know what you're thinking. Why do all bosses happen to have a bolt crank that Ratchet can use? I don't know. They're really stupid. I would fire their engineers. After the final node is destroyed, we are conveniently placed back on solid ground for the final phase. And guess what we do on this final phase? That's right. We dodge even more lasers and destroy 3 little thingamajiggies to shatter the light bulb. This boss fight really isn't anything challenging. The only issue, again, would be you running out of ammo. But every time you run completely out of ammo, it spawns ammo at where those 3 terminals that we destroyed were. So it kind of makes it free. Alright, on to the next planet. Before heading to the next sector, we clear out the rest of the little planets and collect more Zoni. Obviously, the start of the next sector is going to be a Clank mission, so we will again skip that, though we do love Clank. As soon as we enter the new sector, we are greeted by the Valkyries, who are basically mercenaries that Nefarious hired to kill us. The first one's a ship mission, which obviously doesn't use constructo weapons, so we're just going to skip right through it. In most normal playthroughs, people would head to Lumos first, as that's where the game kind of directs you to. But since this is the Constructo only challenge, we head for the Argorian Battleplex instead, which is where we can unlock the final Constructo weapon, the Constructo Shotgun, my personal favorite weapon in the entire game. I don't just want to skip over the entire Battleplex since it's a very large portion of this challenge, so please enjoy this arena montage.
Show your bling and let me shine you. Smooth. Look, see the money. You'll like the money, the money, the money. Let's dance! Let's dance! Yeah. Let's dance! So spicy.
Oh, yes. With the Constructo Shotgun in our possession, we move forward to Planet Lumos. But before we go there, I want to clarify two things. First, we did have to use the Negotiator in one mission, but we used our wrench as much as we could to make up for it. Also, during this entire arena challenge, we got 3 Constructo mods. We got the Shrapnel mod for the bomb glove, the Impactor mod for the pistol, and the Galvanic mod for the shotgun. The Galvanic mod is so good. It literally stuns your enemy for several seconds when you shoot them, which is one of the reasons this weapon is one of my favorite. With all that out of the way, let's head to Lumos. The first portion of this planet is a cave that we have to travel through with Azimuth. It doesn't really have any combat, we're just avoiding these tetramites, but it's used to tell the story of the game because by the end of it, we learn about Azimuth and how he failed the Lombexes. He wants to find the Great Clock to go back in time and fix his mistake. After leaving the cave, we talk to a civilian who knows where the eye is, but we have to help his people. Before helping his people, we first go buy the new set of armor. This is one of the largest levels in the game, featuring the most amount of enemies and the most amount of collectibles. We're mainly just going to focus on the Constructo mods and then the main objective. I'm not going to mention the other stuff, but essentially we have to clear out these 5 bull riding dudes, which they take a few hits, but they're really nothing special. And then after that, 2 3-headed dragon robot mech things will show up that we have to take out. Sorry, I don't know the official names. It says it right there, dumbass. Before we fight these guys, we pick up another Constructo mod, this being the Rapid Fire mod for the Constructo pistol, which is an absolute must because obviously it's rapid fire. It also secretly increases your total ammo count, which is like awesome. So how the Hydra tanks work is basically there's 3 cycles. Once you do a third of their damage, they will expose one of their plugs that you have to pull out. It'll be invulnerable until you pull it out. Even though they're invulnerable, it's only for a short time and they really don't ever even land a hit on you, so it's not a big deal at all. They both go down very quickly. Afterwards is a turret section where we have to destroy 40 of the ships, but honestly, it's not Constructo weapon related, so we're just gonna skip past it. And then after this is yet another cave on our way to the Obsidian Eye. This one where we obtain the Omni Soaker, but I believe it's called the Omni Soaker and not the Constructo Omni Soaker, so I don't want to see it ever again. Anyways, while we're in the cave, we get a Constructo mod, and it is the Slugs mod for the shotgun, which is what makes it so dang good. We find the Obsidian Eye, and we are able to talk to Clank. Clank tells us that Orvis is in trouble and we have to go to Zanfar in the past to stop Nefarious and save Orvis. Landing on Zanfar, we head through the interior and end up outside of a camp where all of the Fongoids have been captured. In order to free the Fongoids, we have to go into the past, but in order to go into the past, we have to unlock the force fields that are trapping the Fongoids. This requires defeating a lot of enemies and doing a little bit of platforming while we're at it. The enemies aren't necessarily getting stronger, but they are becoming way more abundant, making it a bit harder to get through. Sega, don't sue me. We get security access to the control tower, and after destroying all of the enemies, we get to unlock the force fields and enter the past. In the past, our goal is to lubricate your mom. I mean, this bolt crank, with oil. But for some reason, there's no oil in the present, so we have to get oil in the past. And to do that, we need to plant these 3 saplings that will then grow when we go back into the present. Back in the present, we get swarmed by enemies. After defeating them all, we head onto the 3 saplings that have grown into very conveniently placed grind rails, which lead us exactly where we need to be. Another wave of enemies until the force field is cleared. Inside here, we get access to oil. There's also a Constructo mod here, which gives us access to the Lance mod for the shotgun, which is actually really good because it's designed to pierce through enemies, so you can hit multiple at a time. Now that we're back in the present, we lube up the bolt crank, extend the bridge, and head to Nefarious, who is slightly guarded, but again, nothing we can't handle. We find Nefarious, and fittingly enough, Ratchet sticks with the challenge and throws a Constructo bomb at Nefarious in the past, which actually affects him in the future and pisses him off. After pissing off Dr. Nefarious, we get a transmission from Lord Vsalon, who has captured Azimuth. So we have to head back to Vsalon's ship and go save Azimuth. This is where the game finally starts to step up in difficulty. We finally upgrade from the red Nefarious troopers to the blue Nefarious troopers, which have a lot more health and deal a lot more damage. On Vsalon's ship specifically, there are a lot of troops that we have to get through in order to save Azimuth. There are also a lot more flying enemies, which are really hard for us to reach because our weapons aren't as effective against the blue armored guys, and the bombs can't really hit them, so we're left with just the pistol and the shotgun, which can only do so much. Next up, we have to fight Lord Vsalon again, which this time around, he is definitely a lot stronger with a lot more health. And even with all of our weapons at V5, they're still not doing that much to him. He also has a lot more new moves, with some of them being pretty decently tough to dodge. Overall, there is still unlimited spawning ammo, so as long as he doesn't kill us, this isn't too bad of a fight. To free Azimuth from his chamber, we need to go to 3 different paths to pull a Versa plug or whatever these things are called. The first path just utilizes the Omni Soaker, the second path is just a grav ramp section, the third path is a hover boot section. Nothing crazy. After freeing Azimuth, he treats us with nothing but complete and utter disrespect.
I know. It was touch and go there for a while. But the old Lombax instinct kicked in and,
Fool! I told you to leave me. You shouldn't have come back.
Wow. That was not the reaction I was expecting.
Anyways, he then immediately feels bad, we fight some enemies, and we attempt to get off of Vsalon's ship. Now, when it comes to this part, I did actually use the turret instead of the Constructo weapons, and honestly, I don't know why, I kind of just blanked. I'm 100% sure it would be possible with the Constructo weapons, especially with how many ammo crates are scattered about, but for some reason, at the moment, I just didn't think about it, so I apologize for the potential illegitimacy at this part. Cheating aside, we decide to move on to the next sector, the Bernilius sector, which obviously starts with a Clank mission. Skip! Though I feel as though I should mention Clank and Sigmund found the Orvis chamber, and then Lawrence followed them there. Nefarious now has access to the Orvis chamber and sexy Quark. In the new sector, we have to head to Vapedia, which is where we will find and rescue Clank. But of course, before that, it is going to be guarded by another Valkyrie ship, but we honestly take it out with 0 problems because our ship is very powerful. We now land on Vapedia in search for Clank. The level starts with some hover boot platforming with the occasional bit of enemies as well, while we are in search for 2 battery bots so we can open up this door to get access to more oil. Once we get the oil, we can lube up the bolt crank and move further into the level. So throughout this level, the final Valkyrie, whose name I want to say is Cassiopeia, is going to put us through 3 gauntlets total until we finally get to actually fight her. And during all of these gauntlets, it's going to be just a continuous onslaught of Valkyries attacking me, which the Valkyries are not insanely powerful, but again, they usually remain in the air and kind of harder to hit. The first gauntlet just has us throwing bombs back into this bomb spitting thing. It's pretty freaking easy and does not involve my constructor weapons at all. The next trial is like this poisonous gas machine, and inside the room there's 6 different red buttons that we have to press while we lose health over time. Weirdly enough, I guess after 3 cycles of pressing the green buttons, it just like short circuits and stops working. So that's that, I guess. Before the 3rd trial, we collect another Constructo mod, which is the Scorcher mod for the Constructo pistol, which basically leaves a burn effect on all of your enemies, dealing damage to them over time. Now to the final trial. This trial has us throwing 8 battery bots into their slots while being swarmed by electric shocker robot dudes. And I want to say that after a while the floor breaks, but it's never happened to me, so I honestly don't know. But it was very easy. Before heading to the final section of the level, we have to defeat another horde of Valkyries. There are a lot of them this time, but it's literally right next to a vendor, so we literally have unlimited ammo. I don't know why they designed it like this. Now it's on to the boss fight. When it comes to this fight, she is basically flying the entire time, which is probably our biggest weakness during this challenge. The Constructor Shotgun does a lot of damage to her, but it is fairly difficult to reach her at times. We have to keep jumping to dodge her projectiles, while also trying to reach her because she's flying, and the range of the shotgun can only go so far. After we take out about 1/4 of her health, she calls for reinforcements and is invulnerable until we take them out. During her next phase, she remains in the middle of the battlefield for about 90% of this phase, which renders our Constructor Shotgun completely useless. We have to use our pistol, and we have to keep swing-shotting to the other platforms because they have more ammo crates. After we get her to 50% health, she sends more Valkyrie backups, and after we take them out, we are surprisingly on her final phase. And for some reason, they decided to not give her any new moves. So we're able to finish her off. We did take a couple hits, and we were about a hit or 2 away from death, but we did manage. As she dies, she flies into the glass container that happens to be holding Clank. So basically, Clank is now dead. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one. I'm kidding. Obviously, Ratchet saves Clank. They're finally reunited after 2 years and almost 2 games without being together.
Hello, Ratchet.
Hey, pal. How you doing?
Fine. You?
Yeah, fantastic. Yeah, I'm just gonna lie here for a while, though, okay?
Ratchet and Clank then talk, and Clank basically explains to him and Azimuth that the Great Clock cannot be used to go back in time. It is meant to keep time. Azimuth did not take too kindly to this and decided to ditch us. Well, who needs him? It's time for the Nefarious space station to defeat Nefarious and finish this all once and for all. On the Nefarious space station, we find one of the last Constructo mods, this being the Ricochet mod for the Constructo pistol, and I bet you guys cannot guess what it does. It makes the bullets ricochet off of the enemies and onto different enemies, if you guys for some reason couldn't figure that out. Anyways, we defeat a horde of Nefarious's most skilled and powerful troops until we eventually meet up with Nurse Quark, who has an ingenious plan to sneak in to the Nefarious space station. His plan is to go through the trash chute, lose enough weight to fit into this air vent, and basically get a hollow guise where we can disguise as Nefarious. Now, how his plan really went was we ended up in the trash compactor and we were about to get squished to death like in Star Wars. And then he went to use his Nurse Shannon charm to, you know, charm the guards to let us through, and now we're getting shot at. Good job, Quark. And now we have to go through what seems like an endless amount of troops. I mean, this had to have been like 5 minutes straight of just continuous troops spawning over and over again until we were finally able to progress. I ended up taking a pretty decent amount of hits here, and I ended up getting pretty low on ammo, surprisingly. You're not gonna believe this. As soon as we move forward, we are immediately met by more troops. And if that wasn't enough, the next area has like 5 of these freaking giant mantis robot dudes. Like, I don't know what Nefarious is paying these guys, but holy hell, I'll pay him triple. Now that we're finally done with that, we can head into the air vent as Clank, scan Nefarious's body, and become Nefarious as Ratchet. Now, while you are Ratchet, you can do some hilarious things. You can call Lawrence to help you out. You can literally command the robots on the space station to literally just end it all. You can also command them to dance. Our end goal here is to blow up all of the ships that are docked outside by obviously tricking the minions into thinking I'm Nefarious. Yeah, this doesn't end well. We have to go through another horde of troops, and then we go down the elevator to head out, and Nefarious catches us and weirdly enough uses an asteroid slingshot and launches us to a galaxy far, far away. We are tossed on to the Gimick Valley, and luckily, thanks to the Zoni, we were able to survive the crash landing. But now, we don't have a ship, so we have to find a ship. We talked to this Fongoid, and he basically tells us a story about the battle on Gimick Valley and why this place looks like crap, because they lost the war. So basically, we need to go back in time 10 years to when the war took place and win it for them. Now this is not going to be a very easy task because there are Grungarians out the ass, including just the normal Grungarians, the ones that throw the little spiky balls, my least favorite ones, which are the ones that have the shields, and then there's also the Rhino Rider ones. Again, I'm sorry I don't know what these things are called. Again though, even though there's a lot of enemies and they are a bit powerful, we still have access to unlimited ammo, which really just makes it so easy. Like, as long as we don't take too many hits, which I'm usually pretty good at dodging, so that's usually not an issue. But as soon as we finally beat all of these Grungarians, we meet up with the leader of the Fongoids. But before we have any time to celebrate, they send 2 more of these dragon mech things at us. These ones are the second stage of the enemy. So last time they had 3 phases, very basic moves, and they were overall very easy. These ones still have the 3 phases, but they're a lot harder. They have different attacks, and they attack you while their node is exposed. Now the first one went down really easy with 0 issues, and to be brutally honest, I didn't even take any damage on the second one. It was very easy. I am very good at this game. Last but not least, we have to defeat Commander Argos in their amazingly looking ship that we're definitely not going to steal. But before we are able to get to him, we have to plant 3 more of these seeds in the past, grind rail them in the future, which will actually bring us right back into the past, up where we need to be to fight Commander Argos. Phase 1 of this fight is nothing crazy. He kind of just shoots his miniguns at us, but as long as we keep focus on dodging while also maintaining the damage, we should be pretty good. I do take a couple hits during the first phase, but it's not going to stop me. After each phase, you have to pull out a Versafuse, which will then move him onto his next phase. He's invulnerable until you pull the fuse. If you don't pull out the fuse fast enough, he'll actually gain health and restart the last phase. The only attack he really adds is that he'll throw some mines that chase after you and blow up on impact, but you could literally just shoot them to blow him up. He does get another cheap shot on me too, bringing me 1 hit away from death. This is scary. On phase 3, he calls in reinforcements to help him out. After we take out the reinforcements, we actually get shot again and die. This is our first death throughout the entire challenge. This time, we did not mess around on phase 3. We whooped his ass, pulled his final Versa plug, and defeated Commander Argos. Now, all we have to do is go back to the present, where the entire Gimick Valley is now saved and no longer destroyed, rainy, mucky, and disgusting. They thank us for our service, and they allow us to take the ship. All we have to do is find 3 battery bots, plug it in, charge it up, and head back to Dr. Nefarious' space station to finish this once and for all. But like actually. Yeah, so last time on Nefarious space station, there was so many freaking enemies. I guess he ran out this time because there are hardly any enemies before we reach Dr. Nefarious. And now it's time for the final boss, Dr. Nefarious. Nefarious is definitely going to be a tough boss. My weapons barely do any damage to him. Even though we have unlimited ammo, this is still going to be a big challenge because if he ends up killing us, we're going to have to redo this. His first phase consists of him shooting little lasers at me, as well as throwing purple bombs that explode on the ground with a circular kind of radius that you have to dodge over. He hits me a couple of times, but we are able to get past the first phase without too many issues. His second phase is basically me running away from his control tower's lasers on the hover boots. If I get hit by these, it deals a decent amount of damage, and we have to maintain our quick speed, otherwise the flames will catch up to us. He also shoots some lasers that we just have to simply jump over or switch paths, but it's nothing too crazy. His next phase is essentially the same thing, except this time he can send some reinforcements, and I don't know, it seems like his attack pattern is just a little bit quicker. That could just be me tripping though. Overall, he gets us to about half health, but I believe we heal each phase, which is kind of baby easy mode, but whatever.
I remember back in my day
We would have to kill bosses in one cycle. We didn't get healed every cycle.
Okay, Grandpa, please go back to sleep. During the next hover booting section, Nefarious just kind of says, you know what? Screw this space station. I don't need it. I'll just get a new one and all for one. So yeah, we have to hover boot through these platforms, and sometimes you can get really unlucky and you can just fall off the edge here. Like even with perfect steering, you could just get really unlucky. We did not though. We did make it to the UFO, which is where the final phase occurs. This final cycle is crazy. As Lawrence is manning the gun in the middle and Nefarious is attacking me at the same time, it can get hectic. They can get a lot of cheap shots, and honestly, this is probably one of the most tedious boss fights in the game, especially with these weapons. Now, I was finally thinking, oh my gosh, maybe I don't get ammo here because there's nowhere for ammo crates to spawn. No, apparently they occasionally spawn minions, and yeah, they drop ammo. They literally coded that just to mess with me. We did unfortunately end up missing our step and falling directly off the UFO, leading to our second death overall. We jump back into it to try again, and we just end up getting sniped so many freaking times that we do end up dying again for the third time. This boss fight is definitely tough. Would you believe it if I told you we died again? Yep, I would too, because it sure as hell happened. Number 4. We died a 5th time. This time it was self-inflicted because we just took way too much damage way too early on, so I didn't see beating him possible. We ended up doing this 3 more times before we finally had a decent run where we didn't get hit early. Our total deaths is now 8. This was until we finally got the God Run. We were gaming out of our mind. Gaming harder than I've ever gamed. We finally did it. Oh, fuck, we got him. Holy shit. With Nefarious finally beat, we have to find a way off of this UFO because Lawrence just left us behind. Lucky for us, Azimuth has a heart and decided to come back and rescue us. But for anybody who knows this game, knows that he did not actually save us out of the kindness of his heart. He wants to use the clock to reverse the past and what he did to the Lombaxes. Ratchet does not believe this is the right thing to do, and yeah, this happens.
Where are you going? This is your responsibility. You can't just walk away. The Lombaxes need us. Don't walk away from me. I said stop!
Alright guys, Ratchet's dead. That's the end of the game. Yep, you heard it here. He fucking kills Ratchet. Clank then has to go all the way to the Orvis chamber and remembers something the plumber says.
I wouldn't risk any more than 6 minutes.
6 minutes.
He reverses the time, saves Ratchet, and we now begin the actual final boss fight. This boss fight is actually insane. Azimuth has so many moves. He has wrench swings, he can throw his wrench, he can shoot bolts from his wrench, he throws grenades, he can charge towards you at lightning speed, he can spin his wrench so fast it reflects all of your projectiles right back at you. And not to mention, he has probably double the amount of health as Dr. Nefarious had. His evasion skills are off the charts because he's on hover boots the entire time. The only plus side is that ammo is a lot more easy to come by on this fight than Nefarious. Pretty much right now, we are just chipping him down as much as possible while insanely evading all of his attacks that don't ever seem to stop. As soon as we can get him to phase 2, we will be in good shape, but seriously, our weapons are barely doing any damage. After finally getting him to half health, we begin phase 2. Phase 2 is where the clock is now literally malfunctioning because, you know, it's not built to go back in time, stupid Azimuth. Because of this, where we are standing starts to occasionally shatter and we start to lose some of our playing field, which also means if we fall down that hole, we're instantly dead, so we have to be really careful. Azimuth also learns a few more moves. He can now shoot 3 bolts out of his wrench, and he enjoys doing this slam attack a lot more. By the end of this, it doesn't end up being too insane of a fight, because even though he has a lot of variety of attacks, they are pretty easy to dodge, so we end up finishing him off with the extremely busted Constructo shotgun. Therefore, completing the Ratchet and Clank Future, a Crack in Time, Constructo Weapons Only Challenge. Thank you so much for watching this challenge video. I really hope you guys enjoyed. When it comes to this challenge, I was hoping it was just a little bit harder, but unfortunately with this game, they're very generous with the ammo, and they really don't do that much damage overall. But it was still a really fun challenge, and maybe when I do it again, I can do it on hardcore mode if you guys want to see that. If you guys can think of any other awesome challenge videos like this to do, please let me know. I'm willing to do whatever. I love this franchise. But I appreciate you guys for watching. I will see you guys in the next one. Thank you to all of the members of the channel. Your support means the world to me. You guys are literally awesome. If you guys want to see any other content from me, the top video is what YouTube recommends you guys to watch, and the bottom video is a Ratchet and Clank Guess Who, which was so funny of a video.